Hey, 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 what's happening, you guys? Welcome back to Let's Go Win Live. And we're talking everything on leadership, performance, and sales. Well, not necessarily sales, performance, leadership, mindset. I guess I was just on a podcast, they were talking about sales. So I figured maybe that's where that's coming from. So anyway, definitely have some cool questions that have come in today. And the whole idea of this show is to, again, help people be happy, be healthy, be wealthy. So let's talk about that. Be happy. It's the one common thing I've seen with every single client that I've coached for the last 20 years. Everybody wants to be happy. So whenever I think about whatever coaching that we're doing, that is what I'm focused on, is how can I help people be happy in their business, in their relationships, with their health. And that's the next thing, health. What is it that we can do to really improve our health? Because in my opinion, health is wealth. Everything that you do, unless you're healthy, you can't really succeed in business, in your relationships, to create the wealth that you really want to create. And that's all about taking care of your mind, your body, and your soul. So in terms of your health, that's what we're looking for. And then wealth, that's all about your wealth in your relationships, wealth in your spirituality, wealth in terms of financially. And we've got some pretty cool stories. Sorry, I had to grab my question. So got some pretty cool stories on people that have been continuing to do that by watching Let's Go In podcast, by following some of the programs, by some of the coaching that we've done. So, first question that came across today: how would you handle a personality conflict between two employees that need to consistently work together? This is a great question, and I can think of so many countless times when you have people that are at their wits' end. They'll never work together. It won't work. It's basically getting two people in that room and addressing whatever the challenge, whatever the situation is, whatever personality conflict that may be going on. It's interesting to think that there are times where people are like, I'll never work with this person. They start labeling how much of a piece of garbage they are, or the fact that it doesn't work. And it's really just a miscommunication amongst the two parties. There's some lack of common ground that we need to find to figure out what's really going on. Is it simply a misunderstanding? Is there something that we can do to bridge that gap? And you cannot do it in an effective manner by trying to do it being the moderator, mediator, without them in the same room. I've tried. I have failed miserably when I've tried to take Joe's word when he's talking about Sally, and then Sally's word and talking about Joe. Let me tell you one thing that is going to lead to a hell of a lot of extra time and energy and effort for you, instead of just saying, all right, we have a challenge here. Let's sit down and talk about it. Now, the other thing that will really help you in this endeavor is having clarity on what your values are, and how you behave in a business. And so often when I consult companies, they're not clear on what their values are. They're not clear on how they're expected to behave. And the reason it's so important, both in business and in your personal relationships in your family, is instead of saying, hey, Joe, you're being such and such, and really labeling them, you can say, hey, Joe, do you see when you act this way, how you would be out of alignment with, let's just say, so I'll use my family: courage, fun, and love. And this is something I see with my kids, that love is one of the values that we have as a family. So if my younger son, Trey, hits TJ, I can say to him, hey, Trey, do you see how that's not coming from a place of love? Can you see where this isn't something that we agreed to as a family? And instead of saying, Trey, you messed up here, or you're wrong, you just say, in this particular situation. And it helps them understand that I'm not a bad person. I just didn't act right in that position. So when you're dealing with employees, get them in the same room. Get everybody in a place to seek to understand one another and ask some additional questions without judgment. And when you can do that, it's amazing how you'll find that there's commonality amongst the two, that that people are all actually not that far away from being in alignment, but rather there's just some misunderstanding. So the best thing is get them in the same room. It doesn't mean they have to be best friends. Doesn't mean that there won't be challenges moving forward, but it gives a safe space to say, okay, what actually happened? Let's hear your side. And then it gives them a chance to, once they've finished talking, of course, you do need to allow them to complete whatever they're saying and allow that safe space so that they're not getting cut off and it doesn't become a defensive battle of you said this. So I guess the overall idea is get them in the same room, help moderate and mediate that process, and guide the conversation to a common ground. Guide the conversation to say, you see, Joe's not a bad person, Sally's not a bad person, we just had a misunderstanding. All right. Question number 2, how do you keep employees happy while handling inflation and the need to keep labor costs down? Not the easiest question to answer, because whenever you're messing with two things of people, when you mess with their kids and their money, that's not something that people love. However, we know in businesses, I think back to starting in business, I've seen 3 recessions, quote unquote. And I think the most important thing that you can do is build vision amongst your workforce, to let them know, here's where we're going and this is why we're doing that. When you have clarity on where you're going and you know why you're doing it, pretty much anyhow gets out of the way. And I'm not saying it's easy, and it's going to be something that checking in on their mindsets, checking in on your own, giving them, again, that safe space to vent their frustrations behind closed doors. You don't really want that, because misery does love company, and you don't want to be in a meeting where everybody's just unloading, but rather you want to give everybody the chance to really speak to you when they need to, and also to build that vision. Now, something that I've borrowed from Michael Hyatt, I think is brilliant. It's something that I use with all the meetings that I do, is AEIO. And what that is A stands for achievement, E stands for expectations, I stands for issues, and O stands for outcomes. So every single meeting that takes place that I'm leading, we're going to follow the AEIO system. And here's why. When you start with A, achievements or win, we're starting from a positive place. We're not starting with a typical meeting starts where you say, oh, how was the weekend? You're doing a little small talk, and then boom, you're right into whatever issues or bitching that takes place. Instead, you want to start with, let's talk about some positives that have happened this week. And you make that become a habit. You create a habit. I shouldn't say make. You create a habit to say, we're going to recognize our wins and we're going to talk about them. And what you'll find is that builds momentum just the same as negativity does when you're talking about the negative, the issues that you may have. And so when you start with the A and the achievements, now it gets everybody in a place of, okay, things aren't that bad. I did have some wins. Some good things are happening. And you go around the room. Everybody gets that time. Then you go to E, expectations. Now, why is this important? Because we want to make sure that we have clarity of where we're going, and if there's expectations of one another, how can we best support, and that everybody's on the same page. So everybody has a chance to talk about the expectations that they have of the group, that they have of themselves, and that they might have of particulars in that environment, in that meeting. That also allows everyone to do the same. Now, we should have real clarity, and what we'll do in the O part is, when we've talked about the expectations, Then we're going to set the O, or the outcomes. But before that, now is your chance to say, are there any issues that I'm unaware of? Anything that's going on? And this is their chance to provide whatever challenges, whatever bitching they may have. However, the caveat is, whenever I ask for issues, I'm also asking for a solution alongside of that. So cool that you have an issue. What's a potential solution that you've created that we can potentially implement? And so now you have a challenge that's obviously there. It's no longer the elephant in the room. It's out there, and here's a potential solution, and you get to vet through that. And then lastly, as I talked about, then you go to those outcomes. Okay, we had these expectations. Who owns this and by what time? And now everybody's completely clear on it. So if you've shrunk your workforce because you had to, well, now everybody knows what they're expected to do. Are they picking up additional responsibilities? Do they need more support? And everybody has clarity on it. Great question. And inflation is never easy, and labor costs, keeping it down, it's a reality of business for sure. Last question that I received is, how do you handle that problem employee that is performing but continually is bringing personality conflicts to the table? Okay, this is your talented performer, but can be a drag on your culture. And anybody that spent any amount of time with me knows how important culture is to me. I truly believe that your business will succeed or fail based on your culture. So when you genuinely care about someone, when you as a servant leader care about another person on your team, this is your opportunity to have that real conversation, that the crucial conversation is actually a name of a great book. I can't remember all the authors, but it's a good book based on what's called a crucial conversation. And the overarching theme and idea is that don't sweep things under the rug and tell them how great they're doing and keep patting them on the back and allowing them to destroy your culture, because whatever you allow into your world, that's what is going to become acceptable. And it sounds so basic. You're like, well, yeah, of course, no shit. But whatever you're really allowing into your world, that behavior will continue. So for this particular performer that is continually bringing conflicts and personality conflicts and really dragging your culture down, that's your opportunity to sit them down and say, Tom, let's just say it's Tom. Hey, Tom, can you see where when you are doing this, what that's creating with the others? And typically Tom's going to be like, what are you talking about? I'm the best performer on the team. And that's your chance to say, you are. However, you're actually bringing the rest of the team down with you. And we're going to be that much stronger of a team if we're able to get you on the same wavelength when it comes to our culture. And often, Tom, in this case, he doesn't even know what's happening. When he's looking in the mirror, his lens, it's not showing that he's doing anything but kicking butt, because he's become extremely focused on just these numbers. And so having that crucial conversation to let him know, hey, I do recognize you, I see you, I appreciate you. However, when you're showing up this way, it's really hurting what we're trying to do as a team. And again, I kind of do the 3-strike rule. Being a baseball fan, I let them know that, hey, Tom, no problem. We all make mistakes, and we're just going to document this. And if it happens again, Tom, we're on strike number 2 here. Do you see where I don't want it to lead to where it potentially could be? But if we get to strike 3, the only other option is to have to let you go. And I'm very upfront about it because, again, I don't want conflict amongst my team. And I've had it before where my top performer was exactly that. He was tenfold better than every one of the people on my team. The challenge was he was bringing down the rest of the team with him. And so when you get, prior to getting to strike 3, you want to say, Tom, I want you to be clear here. This is our last chance. Is there something I'm missing? I'm coming from a place of curiosity, not judgment, not labeling, but really trying to understand what's going on. And typically you'll find that there's something else going on in their world. They have a challenge at home, they have a sick kid, they're taking care of a mom, they have money issues, whatever the challenge is, it's not it's just that energy that they're bringing to the work, and that's really affecting. So that's your chance to say, hey man, I see you, I care about you, I want to come from a place of seeking to understand what's going on so that we don't get to strike three, because I don't want to get to strike three, Tom. I want you on my team, I want you to be a valid part of the team, but if you continue to behave this way, you're leaving me with no choice. So it should never be a surprise to Tom or whomever this person is that is performing but is creating culture issues. We should be extremely clear prior to ever hitting strike three that we have had some challenges and this is inevitably where it will lead unless we can curb and change the behavior. So great questions, you guys. Again, I hope you guys are seeing value in some of these questions. I would love to hear more from you. You can send it to Let's Go Win 365 or info at letsgowin.com. And make sure to check out the Let's Go Win podcast, because we talk a lot about this. You have some amazing guests that are talking about helping you be happy, healthy, and wealthy. And that's the whole goal of this company, is continue to improve your lives. So, all right, until next time, I appreciate you. We'll talk soon.